I wanted to come on today and introduce just some general knowledge of how to change, how to travel towards goals and get results that you actually see and not be suffocated by your own thoughts, right? So I'm going to introduce this in steps, in sequences, right? Because I often, in my time in providing counseling to individuals, whether it be with adolescents or whether it be with adults, no matter what age it is, right? Sometimes they will often tell me, well, I'm trying to make a change, or I'm not trying to do this, or I'm going to try not to think negatively. And oftentimes that word is a commonly used factor of allowing, or really not allowing them to identify what I'm going to call, I love to use this phrase, internal notes or internal findings, right? See, what happens is when a person says, I'm going to try to do my best, or I'm going to try to make straight A's, or I'm going to try not to do this, just say, if a person is an athlete, right? And they say, if they are sitting at basketball practice, practicing their free throw shot, right? And they say, well, I'm going to try to tuck my elbow in every single time I shoot free throws, right? And so what they're doing is they are relying on their memorization in the moment to allow themselves to try to go ahead and align their elbow to where it is pointing at their target in the moment of when they're in game time, right? So I'm gonna bring upon this true fact, right? The only way to fully see results in anything that you aim to do, wish to do, desire to achieve is to build a regimen that allows you to be physically conditioned to that change. Understand, you cannot be physically conditioned to achieve or attain anything that you verbally state or write down on paper that you wish to achieve without being mentally conditioned first. So here are the steps. Step one is change how you think. Step two is change what you think. Step three is a given because it falls in line, and really step two is as well. Is if you do step one and you do it in a place that is without distraction, but is somewhere where you can intentionally craft, hone in, identify what will fully allow you to think about and achieve and not be distracted by the very things that allowed you to be conditioned to the action or to the thought that you wish to change anyway. Going back to the basketball player that wishes to fix his free throw shot to where his elbow is pointed straight towards his target, which the target will be the basketball goal at that point in time. Does not matter what behavior you wish to change. It simply does not matter. It could be anything from, if I want to change and not change because I don't do this, but I had to go through some conditioning to develop my speaking in public to where I did not say or do those really weird onomatopoeia pauses that I wanted to cut out from my presentation whenever I deliver speaking presentations, right? I went through the process of, even when I speak to somebody one-on-one in person, whether it is not in public or whether it is in public, whether it is a one-on-one conversation, or if it's even me just simply speaking to my dogs, Miss Honey and Miss Sasha, I will not allow myself to say the word and or just like those really weird hiccups that people say in person. And I don't do that because I don't want to get in the habit of speaking in public and saying them. It is about creating habits and not creating negative habits. Now, understand this. This takes practice and conditioning. You have to condition yourself to physically make a change by conditioning yourself mentally, right? So what this continues to look like is this. Small things make the difference, right? You always remember, small things make the difference. So what this continues to look like is this. If I am deciding that I want to make that change to going back to the basketball player, right? As I sit in practice with the team, whether it is one-on-one, really it needs to be both, because in reality, what it looks like is this, is when you practice with your team, you want to be able to improve day by day over time. You're not going to improve by relying on it in the moment, because what happens is if you're not used to shooting like that, chances are you will not become successful in making that change right away unless there is some individual practice with that. Right? So the more you sit individual, and you may go as far as to consider to make habitual practice to sit at home on your own, in the dark, in the light, whatever it may be, and just simply take your elbow, put it straight in the air, and just practice that shot. Practice the motion of that shot while you're sitting at home in your living room, right? It's the same thing no matter what you want to do. If you want to practice your form on push-ups, if you want to practice reading quicker, if you want to practice enunciating words more clearly, no matter what your goal is, even if your goal is to get away from something, right? Let's say you're a runner. Maybe you want to run. Maybe your foot placement wants to change. Maybe you want to change your foot placement. Maybe you want to stop running on your toes so much and make that shift where you shift heel toe on your feet when you run. You're not going to be able to do that if you decide to just immediately tell yourself you're going to do that in the middle of track practice. It has to be some mental conditioning. The first thing you have to do is you have to devote yourself into identifying why the thing that you're doing is important. Then after you identify why the change that you're making is important, you will then start to think differently, and then what you think about will be limited to what you can do and who you can speak to, what you can read, what you can consume, what you can eat, that will allow you to grow in the findings and growth of this goal. Obviously, what you're going to do is just consistently plan it upon increasing and going towards this goal, right? So, recap these 3 steps: changing how you think, changing what you think, then changing what you do. Conditioning is key. allowing yourself to be conditioned for your change. Don't wait till test time to perform better. All right. My name is Casey Muse. This has been an episode of AvenueChat, of my podcast. I've had a lot of fun speaking. I've also had a lot of fun doing mentorship with other individuals, man. And it's wild. Also, whenever I tell my mentoring clients and I explain this concept to them and they fully get it, the ones that get it, they understand. When I help them identify what goals are and I help them craft to get to that level of improvement in that area of whatever it may be, it's a beautiful thing. I need you guys to understand this. Practice does not make perfect. Practice just makes better. There is no such thing in this world as being perfect at anything, right? This is Casey Muse. I'll speak to you guys on the next episode.